Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Brazil. We begin with our news update so you can stay current with the country's latest news.
On November 15th, Brazil will hold its first election since Jair Bolsonaro's victory in 2018. Around 147 million Brazilians are eligible to elect mayors and city council members in more than 5,500 of the country's cities. The elections were set to take place in October, but were delayed due to the novel coronavirus pandemic. However, the sanitation crisis is far from over and is one of the main factors that may lead to higher abstention in this Sunday's election. Voting is mandatory in Brazil for citizens over 18, but in the 2018 presidential elections, more than 20% of the electorate did not participate. In Sunday's elections, three main political camps are facing off. The Bolsonaro camp is seeking to uphold the current administration and further far-right-wing political projects. The progressive camp comes into this election cycle fragmented. Lastly, the traditional right wing tries to position itself as an alternative to the aforementioned camps, looking to regain ground that was lost to Bolsonarism and the far right. The mayoral election may go to a second-round runoff scheduled for November 29th, which will take place if no candidate wins more than half of the votes in the first round. The state of Amapá in the country's north has been in a state of emergency since November 7th, when lightning struck a power station, leaving the whole state without electricity. Since then, residents have been living in precarious conditions. On November 9th, the federal government released a statement claiming that power had returned. However, residents of the state say otherwise. Some of these residents were interviewed by Brasil de Fato and are affirming that high-end neighborhoods have electricity 24 hours a day in 6-hour on and off intervals, while other areas have none at all throughout the day. The situation in the state calls attention to the privatization of the energy sector in the country. Gemini Energy, the foreign corporation that serves the 14 municipalities hit by the shortage, is being criticized for lacking the equipment necessary to remedy the situation. Eletrobras, the state-owned energy company Bolsonaro is aiming to privatize, had to be called in to help with the calamity.
In our last installment, we showcased the 5-year anniversary of the Fundão Dam rupture, which occurred in Mariana in the state of Minas Gerais. The crime committed by the Samarco, Vale and BHP companies killed 19 people and destroyed the livelihoods of thousands of others. Till this day, 342 families who lived in the region go on without a permanent home. They are forced to live in temporary rentals in the city's urban area, awaiting the construction of collective housing, the construction of which is the responsibility of the aforementioned companies.
On November 5th, 2015, the city of Bento Rodrigues, which is close to Mariana, had 207 houses destroyed after the rupture of the Fundão Dam.
Everything I built over 43 years, the mud took in 20 minutes. That day, I spent the night in the woods, me and my husband. I came back full of bug bites, all swollen and asking for help. I had nowhere to stay. I arrived thinking I had to sleep on the streets. I had a garden. All that was work for me. It was fun. I miss it too much. The house I live in here doesn't even have a yard. There is not one bit of land for me to step on. And seeing as I come from the land, I was raised on the land. The land does me good.
Till this day, 342 families from 3 cities have not yet been resettled. The majority live in temporary housing rented by the foundation set up by the companies responsible for the tragedy.
This waiting is terrible. People have already died who never saw their homes rebuilt. Many won't live to see that day.
The first deadline for delivery of the collective resettlement homes was in March of 2019. The new delivery date promised is now March of 2021.
There was a delay in purchasing the land where they would build. Now this delay, no houses are ready in the housing project. This generates even more uncertainty among those affected. It is obvious that they won't be ready in February 2021. None of the 3 settlements. No way with the way things are going today.
Ela fala que o tempo é curto para.
These are years that are being stolen from us. Every day, every hour, every minute, every second. It is precious time that is being taken away from each and every one of us. The crime didn't only occur on November 5th, 2015. It's still happening.
The delay on the part of Renova Foundation is destroying the people. It's destroying everyone's health. We lie in bed and can't fall asleep. Till this day, I'm a resident of Mariana. Gesteira will never leave me.
The Night of the Drums, which is hosted by the Umoja collective, has been happening since 2012 at the Emboimirim Cultural Center, located in one of São Paulo's impoverished areas. The celebration rekindles ancestral wisdom, music and dance with a more than 6,000-year-old history. This year, the group will publish a book that recounts the event's history.
Personally, drums have great power over me. It takes things back and connects me with my ancestry, which never leaves, right?
Tambor é esse instrumento.
The drum is an instrument that binds, that echoes and gives strength at the same time. Because it's elemental, it has the power to gather us together and the power to resist.
Euler and Rose are part of the Umoja group, an Afro-Brazilian cultural collective responsible for the dissemination of different percussion-related cultural activities in São Paulo's impoverished areas. The Night of the Drums is comprised of 64 musical groups from Brazil and around the world, with 110 performances and an estimated audience of 25,000 people.
A gente fazia uma...
We lived with African influences in the cultural center that were only ours. So we thought to ourselves, we have to share this with other people, so they get to know the drums too. So we came to this understanding, this element of vibrations, and this vibration has the power to unite, to connect people.
The publishing of the book The Night of the Drums marks almost 10 years of the group's existence.
The release of this book was a gift, like that child you struggled to have and finally did.
The project's process of bringing people to play and all was a learning process for us, of exchanging experience, of collecting knowledge. The project needed a trademark to serve as be a parameter of an educational process.
Besides the cultural and artistic activities, the Cultural Center hosts theoretical and practical workshops that are held throughout the year for the new generations.
Então é o que eu passo para meus filhos, né, todos meus filhos.
It's what I'll pass on to my children, my flesh and blood, and my spiritual ones. So they come to respect the drums, don't treat it badly, not to handle a drum if they are drunk or show disdain towards it. Because the drum is life, it brings life, it calls it.
With the rise of political and religious intolerance in the country, the drums are elements that cheer up hearts and minds for the resistance.
Essa luta ela é natural, né?
For those of us who are in the struggle, this process of resistance through the drum is a necessity. We need the drum to be present in our resistance. This is a fact, because it gives us strength. The drum is an instrument that brings people together, that reverberates strength at the same time.
In today's Brazilianism, lots of flavor and good music.
Hi, my name is Sheila and I live in the Olga Benário settlement, located in the state of Minas Gerais. I am part of a humans collective where we manufacture some snacks like dulce de leche. This dulce de leche process is one where we heat up the milk. It will heat till about 30 degrees, then we add the baking soda. It's also important to remember that we had to hurry the process here, but we need a copper pan. You have to clean it well with lemon or vinegar and baking soda, then we add the milk. We wait for it to heat up, then add the baking soda, which is used because of the milk's acidity. Then we add sugar after that. I added the baking soda. Here we are making 50 liters, so we'll use 10 kilos of sugar. If you want to make smaller quantities, the ration is 200 grams of sugar for every liter of milk. Now that we added the baking soda and sugar, let's stir it so the sugar can dissolve and wait for the milk to boil. Now what we are going to do is strain the milk after it begins to boil and foam. After straining the milk, we wash the pan and put it back into the oven. You only need to stir it a little from now on. It's already beginning to change color and thicken. Now we are almost at the end. It's a little darker and getting thicker. Now we have to pay attention so it doesn't stick to the bottom. Afterwards, just fill up the little cups.
If you like the video, hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.